Welcome back. I wonder if this episode might change the way you show up in life. Today, I want to talk about something almost all of us struggle with. I definitely do. It's the fear of being imperfect. The pressure of getting it right. The weight of feeling like you're not enough. And this belief that we have to be ready before we even consider beginning. But there's a truth that may set you free. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing. There's this lie out there. It's the lie of perfection. Somehow along the way, many of us adopted this lie. The lie that we must be and must present ourselves as a polished version of ourselves in the world at all times. And if we stumble or struggle or even look messy, we're failing. But perfection is not real. Perfection is a performance. And performing can be exhausting. There's a quote that captures this beautifully. Perfection is the enemy of progress. And it's quite possible, if your goal is perfection, you may never start. But if progress is the goal, you can start right now, where you are with what you have, and you can figure it out along the way. So if perfection is this lie, why would you even feel like we must be perfect? Well, I mean, perfectionism isn't about standards. It's about safety. It's about knowing. It's about not having to be afraid, in a sense. But, they say courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking action in the face of fear. And that safety comes around. It's like asking, if I do it perfectly, maybe I won't be judged. If I say it perfectly, maybe I won't get hurt. Or for many, maybe I won't hurt others. And also, if I show up perfectly, maybe I'll finally be enough. Now, perfection isn't a strategy for excellence. Maybe it's just a strategy for avoiding pain. A self-defeating thing that will stop you before you even get started. But you know what? There's only one truth in life. The only thing that will ever guarantee failure in your life is not starting or not starting again. Because every time you get up one more time, there's a chance of success. Brene Brown says it really well. Perfection is a 20-ton shield, and it protects us from nothing. So we carry this giant shield around thinking it will keep us safe. but all it does is weigh us down. And here's where it gets tricky, and this is the shame loop. Perfection and shame are dance partners, and they feed each other. When we can't meet impossible standards, shame whispers, "See, I told you you're not enough." Or it says, "You should be further ahead." Or it looks around and it says, "See, everyone else has it together. Why don't you?" And then shame keeps you stuck. But perfection keeps you silent. And silence keeps you separate. But you're not alone. Everyone is fighting the same battle. Just most of them hide it really well. I heard this quote when I went to a conference, and they were talking to a person who really didn't like themselves, basically because they weren't good enough, they weren't perfect, they weren't all that stuff. And the speaker turned to him and said, "Listen, I love that you have high standards, but the truth is that's not high standards, that's perfectionism. And it's impossible." He said, "Most of us overestimate what we can do in a few short months, and we underestimate what we can do for 2 or 3 decades." He says, "Lighten up on yourself. You haven't been here long enough to figure out what you're capable of." I love it. You know, let's be honest, I've struggled with this too. There have been moments in my life where I waited to feel ready, moments where I held back because something wasn't perfect yet, and moments where I didn't want to see the messy middle. But here's what I learned. The messy middle is where the magic is. It's where courage grows. It's where resilience forms. And it's where we become who we're meant to be. I think back to my 20s when I was in my self-help revolution or my self-help era. You know, everybody's got a genre. My self-help genre it lasted for quite a bit. And I remember having a conversation with somebody at this motivational seminar. And they were talking about like setting goals. And I said, "Why don't you set a massive goal?" I'm like, no. It's like, why? Why wouldn't you set a massive goal? I said, "Well, but if I fail, what if I don't succeed?" And this person said something really fascinating to me that stuck with me and absolutely changed the way I look at goals and life. Because usually I used to be black or white, right? You succeed the whole goal or you fail. And that kept me small, right? Because you know what? If it's too big, there's no way I'm ever going to succeed it. So I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to set that as a possibility. So this person said something very simple to me. So what you're saying, Kimen, is like, if you achieve 80% of a goal, it's a failure. And I'm like, yeah. What about 90%? Yeah. What about 95%? You almost succeeded. That's failure. I didn't succeed my goal. And then he said, okay, so if you're living that life, you're paralyzing yourself. You're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Because think about this. If you set a massive goal, such an incredible goal that there's no way you could ever accomplish it, but you set it up and you go for it like it's a possibility in this life. Like you act like you can, and you work like you can, and you move like you can. And say, even if you accomplish 80% of that goal, and you look at the where you were when you started and where you were when you hit 80%, and you can see how far you've come. Did you succeed at the goal? No, maybe not. But are you outcome oriented or are you process oriented? Because the process took you from one place to this whole new place. And had you not even set that goal, because you were so outcome oriented that you couldn't even give your life to something that big, then you would still be back where you were when you set that goal. So one of the biggest challenges, I think, is like, start off even if you're not great. Like when I started this podcast, I'm sure if you listen to my early they're still there. Like I will not take them away. They're still there. Listen to some of my earliest episodes. And then if you listen along the way, you'll see things change. Because at the first, it was probably pretty bad and not great. And I was humming and hawing a lot. But as I continued down this path, I get a little better. And a little better. And a little better. Because I'm okay going through the messy part, right? The one other thought I want, seeing as we're talking about goals right now, is one of my favorite things about goals. I was doing a talk recently, and I shared with this group my goal, which is I like to share this with as many people as I can, because I have short-term goals, I have moderate-term goals, I have long-term goals, I have lifelong, nearly impossible goals, and then I have a lifelong, completely impossible goal. And setting this goal and going at this goal as if I believe I can make it happen is going to take my life to places that it would never been without this goal. And just to share with you this goal is this: I want your inner advocate, my conversation, however it evolves, reframing, creating your own inner advocate. I want that to touch every human being on the planet. And that's pretty near impossible. I don't have the time to do that, do I? But I'm still going to keep on working in that direction. Because who I become in that process will be much more amazing than had I not. So I challenge you to consider a lifelong impossible goal for yourself. Because you never even know. Lightning does strike twice in the same place sometimes. Maybe you'll be that one outlier that achieves the impossible. We just don't know. Because there are outliers. So, this kind of rolls right into the next part of this conversation. Is like the myth of readiness. Because so many times in my life, I have delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. Here's a hack. If you really want to do something, you start sharing it with the people around you. Say, I am going to do this on this date. I'm going to start this. This is what I'm doing. And you keep on sharing it with people to the point that they start calling you out. Like, hey, how's it going? Have you started? Are you going to start? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And then that possibility lives outside yourself. And it doesn't matter how ready you are. You gave your word to something. You got to do it. And then you start messy. Like the very first episode of was called Conversations with Kimen. Now it's called Your Inner Advocate. Was just like, why am I doing this? And it was short and it wasn't polished, but I told a whole bunch of people I was going to do it. And I just did it. See, because readiness is a myth. There will never be a moment when the stars line up perfectly. Never be the moment when all the fears disappear and your confidence skyrockets and suddenly you feel ready to step into this life, because Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. Think about that. Being ready is not a feeling. It's a decision. And readiness, it's not something you feel. It's something you create by moving. Here's a quote I love. Action cures fear. Not planning, not perfection, not waiting. Action. But think about it, like whatever you're going for, when you start, you're going to wobble. The trick is to learn to walk while you're still wobbling. Think of a child learning to walk. They don't wait till they feel ready. They don't hold off until they've analyzed every possibility. They don't sit on the floor thinking, what if I fall? What if people laugh? What if I'm not good at this? They wobble, they try again. They fall, they get up. They wobble, they try again, and they fall, and over and over and over. The truth to success is one more time. Think about it. What if a child fell down 99 times and said, okay, I guess this walking thing isn't for me, so I'm not going to walk in this life? No, they move forward by moving imperfectly, walking in imperfection. And somehow along the way, we as adults have forgot this truth, that falling is a part of becoming. There's a beauty of being seen in your mess. Do you know what people want to connect to the most? And I know this too. It's to such a depth. It's not your perfection. It's your humanity. I am so inspired by the human beings I work with who struggle, who fight, who fall. And through tears, they get back up. And through tears and fears and doubts and not knowing and wondering, and yet they get back up again. It's not your perfection, it's your humanity. That's what's beautiful. That's what people want to connect to. That's what's inspiring. It's your honest effort. Your honest effort. And your courage to show up even when you're shaky. I don't know how many people, I couldn't even tell you how many people I know that are basically vibrating on the line when they start. Scared. And yet they still do it. There's this quote, people admire your strength, but they connect with your vulnerability. When you let yourself be seen in the process, not just in the polished product, you become real. You become relatable. And you become human. And that invites others to be the same too. To be human too. Recently, I was talking to one of the athletes I work with who's, struggling through some stuff. Like, this person is struggling with the fact that they have incredible integrity, where they don't want to fudge what they're doing in their PhD. They don't want to just say good enough. Like, this human being is not only one of the hardest workers I know, it's also somebody who struggles more than almost anyone I've met. And yet they just keep showing up, and no matter how hard it gets. And you can see this person shaking, afraid, And yet they keep on showing up. And some people would say, well, no, they're just showing up because they have to. And like, no, you don't. Like, you don't have to. You don't have to show up. Some people do quit. Other people are so related to like, there's consequences if I quit. And that's not who I am. So I told this person, just be yourself. Be completely and utterly yourself. And it's going to make a mess here and there, right? But you're going to find the right people to work with in the future who see you, see your integrity. Your friends, you'll have friends, you'll have partners who love you because of who you are. So just be yourself, be whole yourself, 100%. Unapologetically yourself. So let's talk about the difference between progress and perfection. Perfection asks, is it flawless? And progress asks a simple question, is it moving? Perfection can freeze you, but progress frees you. Perfection says, I won't try until it's safe. Progress says, I'll try and figure out as I go. Perfection is rooted in fear. Progress is rooted in courage. Yeah, it's interesting. Probably about a year ago or so, I was working with one of the athletes I work with normally, and I was talking away about how, I'm not going to run a marathon until I know I can do it in under 5 hours. I just don't feel like human beings should be out there running for more than 5 hours, and blah 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 blah. And then she looked at me and says, "What do you tell us, Kimen?" And I'm like, "Oh God, thank you, thank you." And like, if I ever say anything. If anything ever comes out of my mouth in your presence, it's not aligned with who you know me to be. Call me on it, please. And call me strong, and I will always be grateful. That's kindness. It's like there's a difference between being nice and being kind. That's kind. Kind is calling you on your bullshit, calling you up, calling you to be who you say you're going to be. So just for reference, I did sign up for a marathon and I'm running in May. And I don't care how long it takes because the truth is I've said I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it. And you never know. I might just surprise myself. So what about success? What is a new definition of a success that we could take? Because a lot of people are based on outcome. And that's where the success is in the outcome. And I guess you could measure it that way in a bit, but like, if you're only measuring success by outcomes and only a certain finite outcome, how much joy is going to be in your life and how much motivation to continue the process? So think about it. Success isn't about doing it perfectly. It's just success is about showing up consistently. Success is the email you send even though it makes you nervous. Success is the workout you start even if you know or you think you can't finish it. Success is the apology you offer even when you stumble through your words. Success is the dream you chase even when you're still scared. Success is simply the willingness to try. Winston Churchill said it best when he said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." So let's continue. What is the emotional cost of living a perfectionist life? And perfectionist is going to cost us creativity. How will you ever paint outside the lines? Because they say that you can't get anywhere new by following the crowd or by just following the trails that other people have blazed. Joy. Oh my God. It's so hard to live a perfectionist lifestyle. When I lived a perfectionist lifestyle, I realized my perfectionism was based in the fact that nothing I ever did would be perfect. So I quit trying everything. Just imagine right now if I'd lived my whole life in 80% of a success on a goal is a failure. So I'm not ever going to try anything big. I wouldn't even have this podcast. I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing. I wouldn't be married to the woman I'm married. That would be it. Perfectionism will cost us authentic connection. It'll cost us opportunities we won't even take. Confidence, growth, peace of mind, time, presence, even self-compassion. Perfectionism doesn't protect you from failure. It creates failure. The failure of never even trying. So what about the courage of good enough? And this is it, right? 80% of success is still success. Good enough means, it doesn't mean low effort. It means real effort. Good enough means it's the gateway. It's the gateway to momentum. And momentum is the gateway to mastery. If you continuously moving forward, trying, you're working towards mastery. You can't perfect something you never start. You can't edit blank page. You can't refine an idea that never leaves your mind. Good enough is the place to start. Good enough moves you forward. So here's 3 steps. 3 steps to being okay living a messy life. Step 1, lower the bar, but keep the dream. So, process over outcome. Don't shrink the dream, shrink the pressure. Let the dream stay big, but let each step be small. You ever hear that saying, how do you climb a mountain? And simply you put one foot, you point yourself in the direction of the mountain, and you put one foot in front of the other, and you repeat over and over and over until you climb the mountain. Step 2, start before you're ready. Dive in. Take the imperfect first step. Begin while shaking. Start while scared. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the taking of action in the face of fear. Be courageous. Celebrate the tries. Celebrate every single time you got back up. Not just the results. Celebrate your effort. Every day you get out for that run, celebrate you got out. Doesn't matter how it went, you got out. Celebrate progress also. When things start feeling better, when you start moving forward, celebrate that. But most of all, celebrate just showing up. Every small step is evidence of courage. And I would add this. So many people, they're so driven that they want to give 100% every single day. Yet the truth is, in life, things get in the way sometimes. And you can't give 100% every day. Not the full 100% of what's possible. But if you can realize that today I'm running at 50%, but I am going to give 100% of that 50%, then you can always be satisfied with your effort. Because honestly, some days you're going to be on top of the mountain, crushing everything. And other days, it's going to be an effort just to show up. Both of those are success. You got to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to do it badly, to do it slowly, to do it differently, to do it scared, to do it awkwardly, and do it without knowing the outcome. Because done imperfectly is infinitely more powerful than never done at all. I think it's credit to both Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan. And they say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Just take the shot. You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You can hold more than one thing at a time. So I guess it's about time for a conclusion because I've been going on and on and on. But this one's near and dear to my heart because if I hadn't learned this, I wouldn't be where I am today. And learning this deeper will take me to places I don't believe that I could be tomorrow. So, what? This is incredibly important. So really, really, really listen to this and really think about this. What have you been waiting to start? What is it like you've been saying one day, someday, one day, maybe about? What are you like trying to get the stuff together? What are you trying to make? Like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting to start? And what have you been putting off until you feel ready? Like, it's just, well, as soon as I feel ready, I'm going to do that. Remember, ready is not a feeling. It's a decision. And what dream has been sitting in the waiting room of your life? Don't leave that dream there too long, okay? Honestly, this is your permission slip. I grant you the ultimate position, the permission from now and every day forward of this moment to let life be messy, to let yourself be imperfect, and just let yourself begin. Because courage isn't about being fearless. Courage is about being willing. It's taking action in the face of fear. And you're more than just willing. You're becoming. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. Thanks again. Keep on building that positive internal message, that positive internal voice, that positive internal force. Keep on overriding the negative and building your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimen Petersen, formerly Conversations with Kimen. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.